So welcome to Pulse on Learning. I'm Ross Squire, the president of Knowledge Staff, and I'm pleased to be joined by Elise Kraft, who is a high performance life and business coach. She also, full disclosure, happens to be my sister. So it's really a thrill for me to have this conversation with you. So welcome, Elise.
Welcome. Do you want to also do full disclosure that that's not my birth name?
Yes, I think we should, in case I call you Jody by accident. Anyway,
Right.
so let me just start real quickly by talking a little bit about why you're here, why I invited you. So my sister is a rock star. She does incredible work coaching coaches and people in business, and she'll talk a little bit about her career. But what I found out was that she had designed a program, a learning course around LinkedIn. And it really supports people in building a public identity for themselves so that they can leverage it in any way that they see fit. And I had the pleasure of actually going through the program, and it was incredible. It was like really good. And I've already seen results in the 2 weeks since I did the program. And the thought that I had was that public identity is extremely important for people in the learning and development field. It's important that people know who you are. It's important that you have a voice. And it's important for a couple of reasons. One is it certainly will support you in those times when you're looking for new career opportunities, because you'll be easier to be found. And two is it builds a network for yourself, a network that you can tap into, that you can contribute to. And as far as I can tell, LinkedIn is the best platform for doing that. So with that said, let me give you a couple of seconds to introduce yourself and to say a little bit about yourself, your business, and then we'll jump right into it. And you look great, by the way.
Why, thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so I'm Elise Kraft, formerly known God knows what, but I'm Elise Kraft, and I am a high performance life and business coach, and I do help entrepreneurs and business owners and MLM marketers and more people. People are just coming to me now for all sorts of things, really nail their message and create themselves to be a personal brand so that people know who they are and what they do and why. And that can serve so many purposes, because the world is a changing place. It's a different place. And LinkedIn is the place to do it online. For sure, hands down, bar none. I do a lot of business on Facebook, but LinkedIn is the place to do it for a professional social network platform. It's fantastic.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
So when it comes to LinkedIn, I know that our business has changed entirely. So for our consulting and staffing business, we're always looking for people, and we're looking to identify people and find people. And we used to have a lot of subscription to different resume boards and different methods to finding people. And right now, I would say that LinkedIn is probably the go-to location for finding new people in 95% of the cases. We're always looking to build that network. And there's no doubt that when it comes to a company or an employer or a recruiter, we look to LinkedIn to find people. But in my experience, LinkedIn really has changed a lot over the last couple of years. I had this image, and I never was really very active on LinkedIn until recently. I always had this image that LinkedIn was kind of a stodgy business platform. But it really has changed. So can you talk just a little bit about how LinkedIn has changed?
Yeah. So it was that. I mean, that's what I thought it was too. I thought it was like, if you need a job or if you're thinking about up leveling, go on LinkedIn. Like, you have your resume there and you talk in third person and, like, where have you worked? That's it. And the way that I got to LinkedIn is I decided that after 30 years in the fashion industry and coaching in my job, that I wanted to have my own coaching business. That was going to be my next thing. And so I was listening to a podcast between Oprah and at that time, the CEO of LinkedIn, which is Jeff Weiner. And listening to him talk about leadership and compassionate leadership and how LinkedIn had changed, and that it was actually a social networking 24/7, 365, as though you had just walked into a networking event online. Like, what the hell is he talking about? What? And I'm walking the dogs, listening to this unbelievable man who, by the way, had 100% CEO rating, taking a poll of the people in his company. He was rated at 100%. How does that happen?
Mm.
So I'm fascinated, and I go home. I have to change my username. I have to change my password because God only knows the last time I was on LinkedIn. And I'm mind blown. Everyone's on LinkedIn. It's incredible. And the conversations and the richness of the engagement. People want to have a conversation on LinkedIn. They really want to talk. They really want to connect. They really want to engage. I'm like, I just found exactly how I'm going to do this. Like, bing, 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 bing. Like, okay, yeah, I know my next move. And I went on LinkedIn and I decided I was going to learn LinkedIn because there's so much richness, literally richness on LinkedIn. And I'll give you some statistics that are going to blow your mind.
Wow, wow. So how has it changed? What I'm noticing is rather than it just being about business, it's not Facebook where Facebook is all about social this, social that, conversations off the wall. Um, but it, in my estimation, LinkedIn has gone beyond just being strictly stodgy business. So
Right.
can you talk a little bit about how you see it as
Yeah.
having changed?
Yeah. So it was, you go get a job that didn't have the feed part. It didn't have the social aspect part. It was, you went and you got a job. That's it. It was just, so it didn't have that part, that live action part. So when they added that part and then the element of the social part, the social awareness part, the pulse on the world part, it's the world stage, it's the platform, it's the global platform, and this heartbeat of the world. So it's less about, what recipe, although there are people that do food and fitness and all of that, but it's not like, you know I just had an iced tea. You want to see it? It's not that. My dog just threw up, but you want to see? It's not that. It's really, it's movements and what moves you. And that's the conversation. It is, what is the conversation today? So it's elevated. It's elevated and everybody's welcome. So there's artists, there's dancers, there's, everything that you can think of. Somebody said to me like, well, I do teeth whitening. I'm like, okay, well, people have teeth. So I think you do well.
Cool. So what went into the creation of the I Love LinkedIn Bootcamp? What had you decide to develop the course, and then talk just a little bit about what the course includes?
So it was a Sunday night and I was literally looking at the platform at my dashboard and I thought, I can't believe how much I've grown on LinkedIn. I can't believe how many people view my profile. It just blows my mind. Like, a year ago I had like, I don't know, 1,200 followers. Now I'm over 10,000. I'll probably be at 20,000 by the end of the year, just by how quickly it's growing.
Mhm.
And I thought, I could teach a boot camp. And I'm like, yeah, for sure I can. I'm like, well, how many days would it be? Like, what would I teach? So I just, with a pad, like, okay, day one, I would do this, okay, 4 days. Yep, 4 days. And I messaged my team. I'm like, I'm going to do a boot camp. I'm going to launch it tomorrow. They're like, really? I'm like, yep. Tomorrow? Yep. Like, okay. And that was it. And in a way, it was almost as though from a few standpoints of like, Not everything has to be a long launch. Some things you could just do because you know that you can deliver a result and you could do it quickly. And I like that. I like the pulse of that. High performance, I'm high performance. And so by the morning, I gave them and it was like, what am I going to call it? I love LinkedIn. I mean, I say it all the time. I love LinkedIn. It's changed my life. And so 21 people enrolled. I went live in a very large women's group that I do trainings in every week. There's 400,000 women in it now. And 21 people said yes. They had to say yes right away because it was starting 2 days later. And that idea of like, that sounds great, but I'll think about it. There's like, okay, well, if you think about it, you're going to miss. So the ones that said yes said they came in, and the results are incredible because it does actually work to engage and set an intention while you're there, what you want to have happen, redo your whole profile. You have to redo your profile. I mean, if your profile's been up for 6 months to a year and you haven't touched it, you have to redo it.
So
I
talk a little
redo
bit
mine all
about
the
that.
time.
Talk about that. Talk a little bit about how LinkedIn has changed, how the whole profile has changed, and how you recommend that people approach it.
Yeah. So I see your profile as your real estate. Your banner is your real estate. That's your billboard. So if you approach it in that way, if you just say, okay, well, all right, maybe she's on to something. Okay, you've got my interest now. That's my real estate. And I go to my profile and I look at it. Not really impressed. I'm not really wowed, right? Like that back, if it's blue and it has the stars, that's the LinkedIn basic. They give you that, right? Everybody has that, but you can change that to be, a saying. It could be another picture of you. It could be something that like just goes like, wow, I have a sense of this person. Something. It could be your logo. It could be something about you, some sense of your personality. And if that little round picture is some, old friggin' 10-year-old picture of you sitting in some pose, like that is so yesterday. That is not, that's not happening anymore. Like update it. Let people get a feel and a sense and a flair and a flavor of who you really are.
Yeah, it's interesting. So I had this terrible, and it's still there. I have to take another picture. But I had a terrible headshot, typical business photo. And one of the things that you encourage is for people to let people know who you are. There's the business Ross, and then there's the father, family man Ross, and then there's everything that I do outside of business. And that what people are hungry for is to know who people are, not just what you do from 9 to 5 or 9 to 6. So suddenly, if you go to my page now, you'll see that terrible headshot that will change sometime soon. And you'll see me holding a striped bass, which is like the passion that I have beyond my family and all the waking hours that I do in the wee hours of the night. And since I posted that up, I've gotten 7, 8, 9 comments like, hey, I didn't know you were into this, and that's cool, and we should talk about this, like from clients that I hadn't talked to in years. So it was really kind of interesting just to see how adding the personal component to the business component maybe tells a different story that people can gravitate towards.
Yeah, totally. And also in the about section, like, why do you do what you do? And because the essence of who you are at home, the essence of the man that you are in the family that I know you to be, the man that you are in, the work that you do in the fishing community and how involved that you've gotten that, there's a common thread that runs through all of that. And when somebody works with you in your company, they get to know that man. But if you don't put that in your about section, then that is lacking in the power, your personal power of who you are. That's your magnetism. That's your real estate. That's your net worth. That's your network. It's all intertwined. And that's what's available for everybody, whether they're looking for a job, whether they have a job and they want to up level, whether they want to collaborate, they want to speak, they want to write a book, anything that you want to do, you can deliver that in your profile.
So the importance for people within learning and development in terms of their public identity. Um, One, it helps you to show up as an expert, which is really important. I find that on LinkedIn, there are people that consume content and there are people that provide content. And it's the people that really provide the content that show up for me differently. They are making a contribution. They're making an offer to the marketplace or to an industry, uh, providing advice, guidance, opinions, thought leadership. Um, when it comes to career development for people in the learning and development field, and really for any field, it's those people that are in demand. Companies are looking for people that are experts. People are looking for people that have the public identity. And the more that you can do to create that, the easier it becomes for you to leverage the experience that you have. People can find you, people know to recommend you. So there's no doubt that it's worth the time investment to start doing some of these things. So in addition to the profile and the summary section, I know that there are also groups on LinkedIn, and there are many groups that are focused in learning and development and coaching and whatever else. Do you have any recommendations around that?
Yeah, absolutely. Write articles. Write some articles. If you don't want to be a content, so let me give you some statistics. Out of the 600 million users of LinkedIn, 300 are active every month. 1% contribute, write content, do videos. I'm part of that 1%. So if you've ever wanted to be part of the 1%, start making content, because you can become an expert and an authority and a thought leader very quickly, because it's only 1%. It's like being a huge shopping mall and you're the one store that's open and everybody's coming to shop at your store. Doesn't take much to really be a standout very quickly. But if that's not your thing and you just don't want to write articles, have an opinion about something and start to write articles. And because if people are looking, they come to your profile and there's an article or two or three, or once a week or every 10 days you write an article, it's like, wow, this person has a point of view about something. So that's pretty cool if you write articles. If you have other digital assets, maybe you had an ebook, maybe you've written something in your business, you have newsletters or something, upload them and put them in documents. So make your profile really rich, round it out so that you have more there than meets the eye. And if you don't have those things, then engage. Then follow people and write comments. Like, just engage, be an engager. People, I cannot tell you how many things I've had offered to me because somebody will say, hey, I noticed that the comment that you wrote on Ross's post, and it was really thoughtful. And, I have a summit coming up and I was wondering if you'd like to be a speaker. And I'm like, because of a comment that I wrote. It wasn't even a post that I did. It was because of a comment that I wrote. So you can be more passive and still create a vibe.
Yeah, yeah. And what I also see that's effective is when people post links to articles that they've read or something that they've been exposed to, and then provide a comment on, provide some commentary, why this was effective, why this was really impactful. That also helps you to get your voice out. You don't always have to be the person producing the original content, but
Right.
you can be presenting content of value to other people and commenting on it.
Yeah. I think if you have a generous spirit and you're generous with, a lot of people, they'll, when I see like, oh, something's had 1,700 views, but 10 comments. So that means that 1,690 people viewed it, but chose, even to say, hey, great content, or hey, appreciate the content, but if those 1,700 people or 1,690 people left a comment, that's really powerful because that also pushes your content out to more people. It helps the algorithm, the more people that comment. So it's helpful, right? So I think if you have a generous spirit, it comes back to you. It really does.
Yeah. So part of the game of LinkedIn is connecting with people and you say that, everyone should have at least 500 contacts. That's kind of a thing. But inside of the connections, I find that there's a downside. I am sick and tired of the people that connect with me, and then I get put on their emailing philosophy, which says, "Hey, thanks for connecting. How about my offer?" And then maybe I'll respond, maybe I don't respond, and then in like 14 and a half hours, I'll get the next thing. "Hey, I'm not sure if you saw my original email, but let me tell you about this." And then I get another email, and it just really turns me off. So is there kind of a right way or a wrong way to kind of approach connecting with people, and how to manage that connection?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a fan of like, I mean, I liken it to like, imagine going to a barbecue and like walking in and saying, "Hey, you want to buy a watch?" Like, it's just kind of weird that you're not even meeting the person, right? So immediately you connect. And within 2 seconds, it's like, "Hey, hey, thanks for the connection. And I was wondering if you'd be interested in me rebuilding your website." It's like, I don't know you from Adam. And to your point, then it's like, "Hey, I don't know if you missed this, but I haven't heard back from you yet." It's like, you haven't heard back from me because I'm not interested. Now I'm on the hook to respond. It's just, but I think of it as this. I think of it as like, this is somebody's brother. This is somebody's husband. This is somebody's father. They're trying to do their thing. God love them. There's a little microphone in Messenger, and I'll either do a no thanks, not interested. Sometimes I do it with my voice. "Hey, thanks a lot. I'm not interested." I just give grace, the same grace that I'd want in return, and that's it. I just drive through, move on. They learned it from something. They either set it up or somebody set it up for them, and it's a bot. It's just an automatic thing. And it's not the way, there's a lot of ways to do business. Maybe out of the 500 that they send, one works, and they're like, "Hey, this is working," And I just figure, you know what? God love them. There's a lot of ways to do it. It's not the way, my preferred way. So I just don't put energy into the annoyance. It used to annoy me, but I just feel like that's just not where I want to put energy.
Hmm.
So I just
Okay.
don't.
All right, good. So, from a time commitment standpoint, what kind of time commitment is necessary to begin to build your identity? And what are some of the key steps that you would say would go towards doing that?
So in in all honesty, I mean, when you come onto the platform, you definitely have to revamp your profile. Like, you have to, you just do, right? So that is a must. And then I guess maybe an hour a day, I think, is sort of fair to make a post, engage, check out other people, engage on their stuff, do a little bit of scrolling, listen. So I think an hour a day is kind of reasonable
Mhm.
to get some, kind of start to get some traction, and then leave, like, but to post and leave is a waste of time. If you're just going to post and then bounce, nothing's going to happen. And if that's the strategy, don't bother. Nothing will happen, for sure. I could tell you that nothing will happen. And a lot of times when people first come to me and they're like, "You know what, I've been on LinkedIn for 6 months and nothing's happening." And I look and I'm like, I could see that, right? Like, lots of posts, maybe every 2, 3, 5 days, no comments, maybe one like. And I'll ask them, "Well, what do you do?" "Well, come on, I post." "Do you stay?" "No." That doesn't work. You
So
have
what
to engage.
so let's say you post something, and you think it's the greatest post since, that's ever been made, incredibly impactful. People should be going crazy over it. You're surprised that there aren't 15,000 responses saying how great a post it is. And there's nothing. So like what's the next step when that happens?
Well, so the what I do is I have a pod of people that all post together and all comment together and support each other. It's like a support group,
Mhm.
like a support group. So then this way, you've got people that are committed to you and you're committed to them, and it really helps. It's almost like being in a wave. And the wave kind of all says, okay, you know what, I'm going to post at noon. Great, let's all post at noon. I'll read yours, you read mine, but we literally read each other's things. I was in one about a year ago and nobody read anybody's stuff. So if I said, you know, I asked a question, and let's say the question was, you know, what are you working on this week? I'd love to hear. And the answer would be, you're so inspiring. It was like, okay, that makes no sense,
Right,
because
right.
that was just the blanket answer. So
Sure.
no, these people are really reading and really engaging, and it really helps the algorithm. Now, what happens is when you have 12 or 15 or 18 people all doing this together, it's almost like, have you ever been shopping? This, you're probably not going to relate to this so well, but like whenever there's like motion or a commotion, people look. Like if you're driving and there's like something that happens on the side of the road, everybody looks. So
Yep.
that's what happens. It makes the algorithm sort of push people to you. And it's really powerful. It
So
really,
what is it?
really is helpful.
That post then shows up on their feed? Is that what
Yeah.
happens?
Yeah, no, so everybody comes to the post. So I make a post, 10 or 15 or 20 of those people will come to the post. But here's the next thing. These people are committed to their growth on LinkedIn. So those people will also go out and say, okay, so now I'm here for an hour, right? I made my post. I've posted on everybody else's. So now I've spent 15, 20 minutes doing that. Now I've got another 20, 30 minutes, right? So I'm gonna go and I'm gonna investigate some new cool people. So I landed on Bob Jones.
Right.
And Bob Jones's post is kind of a cool post. So, wow, I'm kind of interested in Bob Jones. But now his second post, little weird. Third post, really weird. I'm done. I'm not interested in Bob Jones. But now I'm on to Carol Smith. Wow, this just blew my mind. The next one, even better. The next one, Connect. I like this woman. I'm commenting on her stuff. Carol Jones is like, wow, your comments are like blowing my mind. I like you, you like me, we like each other. Carol Jones is now in our pool. She's liking us. She's commenting on everybody's stuff. Carol Jones is in our gang, not in our pod per se, but every time somebody posts, Carol Jones suddenly is in our world.
Got it.
And everybody is pulling people into our world because
Mhm.
they're picking up a few people here and there and a few people here and there. And before you know it, we have all these other amazing people in our world.
Got it.
And this one's on a podcast. This one's on a summit board. This one's doing a speaker thing. And
Mhm.
your life starts to really open up. This one signed 2 clients. This one just got a new business partner. It's real dollars, like real conversion into cash.
Right. Or in the case of people that aren't selling something, it's building your identity so that when you want to be able to leverage that identity, it's already been established.
Absolutely.
That's really cool. So tell me a little bit, if people were interested in learning more about the boot camp, how would they find you?
So Elise Craft, just go to my LinkedIn profile, connect, like definitely connect with me. In my profile is, you know, it's featured in my profile. So there's a featured section in your profile, which is really important to really pull out and highlight. So anything that you're promoting, anything that you have on, you know, special, or your courses, or the way that people can work with you, at the very, very top of my about section, I always say, for coaching and media requests or coaching inquiries, speaking requests, this is how you can reach me. So people can always find me very easily, or you can
Mhm.
always reach out to me in the DM. So I'm very easy to get a hold of. And
Okay,
that
very
would be
cool.
the best way. Yep.
Any final words of wisdom for people launching their public identity LinkedIn campaigns?
I think the very first step is, what is your intention? Why are you going on LinkedIn? What is it that you want to accomplish? Do you want to find a job? Do you want to up level? Do you want to be paid for speaking? Do you want to establish yourself as a thought leader, as a personal brand? You know, what is it that you want to accomplish? And then every time that you go on there, recommit to that intention. Because it's amazing how when you put energy behind an intention, it becomes an actual reality. And when you're loosey-goosey, nothing actually happens. When you're specific things happen.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, this has
Yeah.
been fun, having my sister on our podcast. One of the thrills of my life. It's been great.
Yeah.
You're a rock star, like I said. I love you. Thanks for
I
being a
love
guest,
you.
and we'll talk soon.
All right. Lots of love. See you soon.
Okay, very
Bye.
good.